Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glory is to Sri Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Oh, my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada. Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 25, the characteristics of King Paranjan. Today's text, 37. Imam tvam aditishtasya.
Imam Tvam Adhishtasya.
Imam tvam aditishtasya.
Imam Tvam Adhishtasya.
Purim navamukim vibho.
Purim Navamukim Vibho.
Purim navamukim vibho.
Purim Navamukim Vibho.
Mayo panitam griham grihnana. Mayo panitam grihnana. Kama bhogan shatam sama.
Kamabhogam Shatam Sama.
Imam tvam adhishtasya.
Imam Tvam Adhishtasya.
Purim navamukim vibho.
Purim Navamukim Vibho.
Mayo panitan grihnanam
Mayo panitam pridana.
kama bhogam shatam sama
Kama bhogam shatam samaha.
imam tvam varadhishtasya
Imam tvam haritishtasva.
puring navamuking vibho
Purim nava mukhim vivo.
mayo panitan grihnanam
Mayo panitam pridana.
kama bhogam shatam sama.
Kama bhogam shatam samaha.
Yeah.
Imam tvam haritishtasva. Imam tvam haritishtasva. Purim nava mukhim vivo. Purim nava mukhim vivo. Mayo panitam pridana. Mayo panitam pridana. Kama bhogam satam samaha. Kama bhogam satam samaha.
Imam tvam haritishtasva.
Imam tvam haritishtasva.
Purim nava mukhim vivo.
Purim nava mukhim vivo.
Mayo panitam pridana.
Mayo panitam pridana.
Kama bhogam shatam samaha.
Kama bhogam satam samaha.
Anyone else?
Imam tvam haritishtasva. Purim nava mukhim vivo.
Mayo
Mayo
panitam
panitam pridana.
Kama bhogam shastam samha.
Kama bhogam satam samaha.
So on this, you see how there's 4 half lines there? So it's actually 2 Sanskrit lines, but it's transliterated as 4 half lines. So you only need to aspirate, punch the Visarga H at the end of the 2nd and the 4th lines, because that's the end of the 1st and the 2nd Devanagari. And when you do aspirate it, what you do is you like Kama bhogan shatam samaha, samaha. You don't say it's a long A. Samaha. Just, and what else? Yeah, so you wouldn't, it's like I noticed Damara was saying Grihnanaha. Yeah, that's the third line. So you don't have to punch the H there. Anyway, it's always nice to know these things.
What's the proper way?
Hmm?
What's the proper way with the A at the end?
Yeah, you say the vowel as it is, so it's a long A at the end, right? Kama bhogan shatam sama. So samaha, or because it's an easier rhythm. It's a little awkward to punch it at the end of there because it's already, it's already got the same number. It's called an 8-syllable pada. Kama bhogan shatam sama. So if you punch it, then it's a 9th syllable. So it sounds a little irregular. But you can either way. If you're from South India, they punch it, no matter where it is in the lines, because that's the way they do it. It's just the way they are. But if you look in the back of the book, the way you do, it says, here's how you chant the Sanskrit. That's what they tell you. Anyway, it's not really, as Prabhupada would say, Vedic knowledge is Shruti. It's not Sanskriti. So you don't have to be a Sanskrit walla to be Krishna conscious. But it's at the same time, it's nice to know these things so you can say it right. Because some people will look at you cross-eyed if you say it funny. If you're a little educated, then people go, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so word for word. Imam, this, Tvam, your good self. Adhishtasya, Yeah, it's a real tongue twister, right? Adhitishtasya, adhitishtasya, adhitishtasya. Oh, excuse me, I'm not even reading it right. It's va, right? Not ya, va. Adhitishtasva. Just remain. Purim, in the city. Navamukim, with 9 gates. Vibho, oh my Lord. Maya, by me. Upanitan, arranged. Grithnanaha, taking. Kama bhogan, the materials for sense gratification. Shatam, 100. Samaha, years. Translation. The materialistic woman who is representing the materialistic intelligence in the Leela. And she's saying, my dear Lord, I have just arranged this city of 9 gates for you. It's all for you. So that you can have all kinds of sense gratification. That's what you want, right? You may live here for 100 years, and everything for your sense gratification will be supplied. My dear Lord, I have just arranged the city of 9 gates for you. So that you can have all kinds of sense gratification. You may live here for 100 years. And everything for your sense gratification will be supplied. So you must be very happy, right? Whoopee. Okay, now how he spins it. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Dharmartha kama moksha. No. I'm just reading the purport. This is not a call and response. Dara samprapti hetavaha. The wife is the cause of all kinds of success in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately salvation. When one accepts a wife, it is to be understood that he is being helped in his progressive march toward liberation. In the beginning of life, a person is trained as a brahmachari and is then allowed to marry a suitable girl and become a householder. If one is thoroughly trained in household life, he finds all facilities for human life: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Everything is there. And here's the key. If it is executed according to regulative principles. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opening my eyes with the torch of knowledge. Now, for my respectful obeisances unto him. Okay, so now this is very similar to the verse Lalita did Sunday, in that, that Prabhu did yesterday. In that the woman who represents material intelligence promised to do her best to satisfy the conditioned soul's material desires, Paranjan's material desires. Paranjan. Who is Paranjan? It's all of us, right? We've been saying that. We've come into this body to enjoy sense gratification separately from Krishna. In his purport to that verse, yesterday's verse, Srila Prabhupada said that as a materialist is single-minded. Prabhupada quoted that Vyavasayatmika Buddhir verse. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose. Resolute. That's It's going to be the theme of my talk next Sunday. New Year's resolutions. What should we really be resolving, right? Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of Kuru, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. So Prabhupada said in yesterday's, as a materialist is single-minded in his sense gratification. That's the resolute purpose. Everything we think, feel, will, do in the bodily concept is to ultimately, directly or indirectly, it's all about becoming happy through sense gratification. So just as a materialist is like that, so Prabhupada said, a devotee is resolute in his desire to serve Krishna. Yeah. So that's why we're struggling, because we've been in the material world so long, it's more natural to us, to just try to serve our senses. So, we're trying to recover from that and just transfer that resoluteness of purpose to pleasing Krishna. And to a devotee, it's, when you hear Srila Prabhupada speak or observe him, it was just like natural. Because, what was that story Guru Kripa Prabhu tells? How, Prabhupada called him in the middle of the night, and somebody woke, it was in Mayapur, somebody woke up Guru Kripa, and it took Guru Kripa a while to get there, because he was all groggy and foggy, and he kind of staggered in, paid his obeisance, and says, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada?" And Prabhupada just looked at him and said, "What have you been doing?" "Well, Srila Prabhupada, I've been taking rest." Because it's, the middle of the night. But Prabhupada's up translating, right? So Prabhupada says to him, "What? Why are you sleeping?" "Well, I need my rest, Prabhupada, so I can serve you." "But it's too much. You're sleeping too much." It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Or 1 o'clock or whatever it is. Yeah. So Guru Kripa finally, he started to say, "Well, I'm not a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. That's why I need more sleep. I'm conditioned soul." "Why are you a conditioned soul? How come you're not a pure devotee?" And so Prabhupada just wouldn't let up. He just wouldn't, let up. And then Guru Kripa, he was starting to crack, he started to cave in under the weight of Prabhupada's fire. So he's, "Prabhupada, you're a Paramhamsa." Because he was a sannyasi too. "You're a sannyasi. You should be beyond this now." So, and so Guru Kripa is saying, "Well, but Prabhupada, I'm not a Paramhamsa like you." "Why are you not a Paramhamsa?" Oh, Hare Krishna. Yeah. So that was Prabhupada's project, to turn dogs, hogs, camels, and asses into Paramhamsas. That was his, to make it as natural, as easy as pie, right? So, and then when finally Guru Kripa he started crying. He just started crying. And then Prabhupada said, "That's all right. Take rest. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. Take rest." So when Guru Kripa stopped arguing and just, was just accepting what Prabhupada was, his line of questioning, then Prabhupada said, "Okay, you surrendered. Take rest." All right. So also in today's verse, the woman continues to assure Puranjan that as long as he lives, and how long is he? What's Shatam Samaha, for 100 years? She will make sure he has all kinds of sense gratification. quote unquote. Notice that she has no information for Puranjan about what happens after his 100 years is up. She's already said, I don't know where I came from, and she doesn't know where she's going. That's material intelligence. We don't know where we've been. We don't know where we're headed. Yeah. But eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we may die, right? And similarly, in his purport, so that's how the lady is saying this. Everything for your sense gratification will be supplied. And similarly, in his purport, Prabhupada describes how helpful a spiritual wife is. Prabhupada, he just starts talking about the positive side of things. This is a materialistic wife, but he's talking about a spiritual wife. Is for a spiritual life. And Prabhupada ends the purport, as you might recall. Everything is there if it is executed according to regulative principles. And the first line of the purport, Prabhupada quoted a verse. I tried to find another, where this, because Prabhupada doesn't give a reference here. Dharmartha kama mokshanam dara samprapti hetavaha. I don't know where that's from. Now, the first part of the line, Dharmartha kama mokshanam, that is in other places. And the best place I've found for that is just a few chapters before this one. This is, we're in the characteristics of King Puranjan. And in chapter 22, right here, yeah. It's called Prithu Maharaj's meeting with the Kumaras. So in text 34 of that chapter, 422-34, it's Sanat Kumar, and he's preaching to Maharaj Prithu, which is interesting, because Prithu Maharaj is a Shaktivesh avatar, but he likes to hear from Sanat Kumar, right? Because he's playing the role of a king here. And so the kings are guided by the Brahmanas. So in 422-34, Sanat Kumar says, those who strongly desire to cross the ocean of nescience, and the phrase dharmartha kama mokshanam is in the third half line of that verse. Those who strongly desire to cross the ocean of nescience must not associate with the modes of ignorance. So if we want to go back to Godhead, we can't. I got to climb out of Tamagun. And then here's what Sanat Kumar says. For hedonistic activities are the greatest obstructions to realization of religious principles. So the woman in today's verse, 4:25-37, she's proposing hedonistic activities. Although Prabhupada spun the purport about a religious or dharmic wife. So Sanat Kumar is saying, this is the greatest obstruction to realization of religious principles, hedonistic activity. Anybody not know what hedonism is? Everybody's clear on that? Okay, right. Obstructions to realization of religious principles, economic development, regulated sense gratification. Notice the regulated sense gratification. And at last, liberation. Now, the purport, Prabhupada gives us a little more information. Today's purport, 37, is pretty short, but he talks more about Dharma here. So, okay. So here's what he says about Dharma. The four principles of life, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, liberation, allow one to live according to religious principles. The four principles of life allow one to live according to religious principles. To earn money according to one's position in society, to allow the senses to enjoy the sense objects according to regulations, and to progress along the path of liberation from this material attachment. As long as the body is there, see, as long as we're in bodies, so we got to satisfy it somewhat. It is not possible to become completely free from all these material interests. We have to eat, we have to sleep. It is not, however, recommended that one act only for sense gratification and earn money for that purpose only, sacrificing all religious principles. It's like when Deborah piped up and she said her New Year's resolution was to make more money. It sounded funny, but for a devotee, we're not money making to increase our sense of gratification. It's not what she meant, but it just sounded funny the way she said it. And then Sandamani's comeback was, now we're getting real, right? Because we need money to build that temple that she also said she wanted to start on, right? Let's put something up there, even if it's not so big, something. It is not, however, recommended that one act only for sense gratification and earn money for that purpose only, sacrificing all religious principles. Yeah. So now it's by hook or by crook, right? You get money, and that's called business. You just in the name of business, you just lie, cheat, and steal. That's like the norm for a lot of people. At the present moment, human civilization does not care for religious principles. It is, however, greatly interested in economic development without religious principles. Yeah, it's all about the economy, stupid. That's right. That's the election slogan, right? It's all about the economy, stupid. For instance, in a slaughterhouse, listen to this. For instance, in a slaughterhouse, the butchers certainly get money easily, but such business is not based on religious principles. That's cow slaughter or animal slaughter. Similarly, there are many nightclubs for sense gratification and brothels for sex. Sex, of course, is allowed in married life, but prostitution is prohibited because all our activities are ultimately aimed at liberation, at freedom from the clutches of material existence. And then Prabhupada gives another example about liquor, intoxication. Similarly, although the government may license liquor shops, this does not mean that liquor shops should be opened unrestrictedly and illicit liquor smuggled. It's to actually put some regulation on it, put some restriction on it, not that it's everywhere. That's the idea anyway, right? Even if it's, hardly, just like they sell alcohol even in Love and Spoonful now. Or my favorite vegan restaurant, when it's closed at Govinda's, you go up there and, to make more money, all right. It wasn't like that with the previous owner, but the present owner is like, hey, we're not making it. We want to make more money. So let's sell the booze. Licensing is meant for restricting. No one has to take, now Prabhupada says, no one has to take a license for sugar, wheat, or milk. Of course, you do have to do it in a sanitary way. So the FDA will give you their, or the USDA. The USDA will give you their approval. No one has to take a license for sugar, wheat, or milk because there is no need to restrict these things because they're not bad for you. In other words, it is advised that one not act in a way that will obstruct the regular process of advancement in spiritual life and liberation. The Vedic process of sense gratification, now this is Vedic sense gratification, is therefore planned in such a way that one can economically develop and enjoy sense gratification and yet ultimately attain liberation. So we're eating very nicely here. People are having children. What did Prabhupada used to joke? You want recreation, then chant and dance. You want to get intoxicated, take prasadam. He would just offer us a higher taste through Krishna consciousness. Vedic civilization offers us all knowledge in the Shastras, and if we live a regulated life under the direction of Shastras and Guru, all our material desires will be fulfilled. At the same time, we will be able to go forward to liberation. Yeah. Just like in the Gita, 7-11. How does it start? 7-11. Oh no. Maybe I know 7-11. Anyway, the operative line here is Dharmo viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. I am a sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. I am a sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. So, yeah, that it's there, but it's in such a way that, and what is the religious principle? You come together with your lawfully wedded wife, and you garbhadan, samskar, and then with the intention of bringing a child into the world to free the child from birth and death. That's the intention. Yeah. Okay. So how am I going to end this? Yeah. So because there's a lot about Dharma here, I called the class Material and Spiritual Dharma. Last Sunday, I noticed that when former President Jimmy Carter, who also lived to his 100th year, he also had a lot of years, and he was once asked in an interview when he was 95, "Are you afraid of death?" And because he was a Southern Baptist and believed in God and tried to lead a very, in his own way, pious life, he wasn't afraid of death. Because he knew there's more to life than this life. And he was in his own way dharmic. For example, he was married to Rosalind, to one woman his whole life. And he was, after the president, he had a tough time as a president. It was a rough time. The country was very cynical. It just come out of Vietnam and Watergate, So one of his, when they started asking him in those days, what are you going to do for the country? You know what he said? "I'm not going to lie to you." Can you imagine a politician saying that today? No. That's all. It's like lying is like breathing for especially certain politicians. Okay. Right. So he was, yeah. And now he finally passed away. I was talking with Ramnam about this yesterday. We were cutting up for New Year's. And of course, and now they're honoring him. And it's going on. It's from Sunday the 30th when he passed away until they already had a viewing of the body in Plains. Where he lived his whole life. Except little hiatus for 4 years. He lived at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue for 4 years. Then he went back to Plains, right? Then he would travel all over the world. It was like an ambassador of do-gooding. He was trying to uplift. He was trying to cure disease and help people in his own way. So now they're honoring him, but it's all about the body, right? Because he knew that there was more to existence than just this life. He believed in God. He believed in an afterlife. And so he's going to lie in, reviewing, and then they're going to take him by a train all the way up to, he's going to lie in state in the Capitol. Then they're going to have a service for him at the National Cathedral in Washington. And then they're going to bring him by train all the way back. So that he'd be laid to rest according to his will next to Rosalind by the same tree at their home in Plains. Okay, so it's all about the body. They're just, making a big thing, and now it's politically correct. I mean, he was one of the most unpopular presidents, and especially when those hostages were taken by the students, in Tehran, during the revolution. The Shah fled, and then Carter gave the Shah, asylum. And so they were so mad in Tehran, they took the embassy. They took 50 people for 444 days hostage, and that was right at the end of his term. Right at the end of his term, yeah. So that's how he's kind of remembered, as being so unpopular. A lot of inflation and that kind of stuff, and an energy, so-called energy crisis. But then he redeemed, for 40 years. He was like, wow, no one's ever been a post-president like this. He was doing more after his presidency for 40 years, practically. So today is New Year's. Happy 2025. Happy New Year to everybody. And we're going to give everybody once again a chance to come closer to Krishna. They don't know. They're just coming to have a nice New Year's meal. We can bring them closer to Krishna by giving them prasadam. So this is our New Year's duty, Jaga. This is our Dharma. Paro Dharmo. Yeah. Savai Pungsang Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje Ahaituk Yapratihata Suprasidati. The supreme occupation, Dharma for all humanity, is that by which men can attain to loving transcendental service under the Supreme Lord. Such service must be unmotivated. I mean, if we're here to make money, we're in the wrong place, right? We're here for sacrifice. Human life is lent for sacrifice. If you want to just make money, be a millionaire, you can. There's so many ways to try to make money, especially as Prabhupada would say. In America, you can just take money out of the air. The bank will give you money, of course, to make money. Such service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted. It's not that we just, do a little service and then we spend most of the day in sense gratification, doing whatever the heck we want to do. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to read the verse again, and if you have any questions or comments, please raise your hand. Let's go back to this. Yeah. My dear Lord, I have just arranged the city of 9 gates for you, so that you can have all kinds of sense gratification. You may live here for 100 years, and everything for your sense gratification will be supplied. No worries, Mike. Just go for it, and I'll help you. Anything else? Are we done? Early. Uh-oh, it's not out yet. You might as well ask a question. There's no prasad yet. Everybody know their assignments? Yes. I see, Divya, you're going to relieve me at 2:30 today for the sweets. Ranjan is on from 11:15 to 12, and then I'm on from 12 to 2:30, and then usually it's Yamuna. She's my sweet relief. What are you doing today? Yeah, what's your...
Doing Helen from 12 to 2, and then register from 2:30.
Uh-huh. Oh, of course, we have at 10:30, we have our New Year's Navagraha fire ceremony too. Yeah, we're trying to invoke auspiciousness for the new year. But it's just going to be auspicious when the people come, because they're going to be very happy to enjoy Krishna Prasad and to meet our happy devotees. It's, yeah, anybody who comes here for the new year, yeah, they want to start the new year on the, off on the right foot. Yeah.
I shouldn't be my normal grumpy self.
No. Put on that, I know it's not a false face. That's why you're one of the best registered people, right? Well, Shanta's not here, so are you going to do it all the whole time?
No, it's 2:30 to 5.
Okay. Okay. Oh, we have Tara Lakshmi Gopi. Yes, what are you doing today?
The register.
The register. Oh, you are.
I'm sorry.
You are the sweet relief. They'll be very happy to see this nice Vaishnavi smiling and taking their money. Yes.
That's all right. So, you know,
Please.
one regular principle that's described in here that I think is causing a lot less two-leggeds to spend time at the Hare Krishna temple that we're dealing with here is, or previously, or whatever, or that you spoke about. So, you know, I meet people out there and cultivate them.
Yeah, you're talking about illicit sex?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no illicit sex.
Oh, under regulated principles is cool, you know, as Krishna is sex life. So, you know, you meet somebody that you cultivate them, and then they find out about this, and then they become, you know, maybe they're a little older, and their wife doesn't like this new, let's say, cultivating the guy who's married, and you know, the wife's not having fun, like she doesn't want like this. So the guy's staunch, you know, I convinced him to be staunch about it, and, you know, and really causing a lot of divorces and things like this, in all honesty.
Talking about inside the movement? Or people coming?
Just, I mean, I
just
don't
in
deal with
general?
the movement. I'm over at Mount Rushmore for 6 months, and I'm
Okay.
traveling around. I'm just trying to make devotees here and there and this
Yeah.
and that. And so, you know,
How do you break the news to these people in a way that's inspiring? And
well,
off-putting?
you know, there's people that take it up staunchly and they become real devotees, like this gentleman I'm thinking of. But his
Yeah.
wife doesn't like it, and then, you know, marriage is broken up, and so many problems, perhaps, and this and that.
Oh, because you're in touch with the people, you do follow up, and
Yeah,
you hear from them.
yeah. I mean, this is just life. You know, this is a major thing in almost every Westerner's mind. This issue.
Mhm.
So much so that even within our movement, we're trying to change it. Many people are that are so-called disciples of so-and-so. So, you know,
You're trying to change only 3 regulative principles. So initiation, is that it?
well, allowing some room for this and
Oh.
that. So, I mean, at least that's what one guru is telling me. A couple of them are telling me that that's going on in their movement. But so the point is what would you suggest for the gentleman that has a wife that's now has this restriction? What can that gentleman explain to his wife, you know, so that it can look positive? I mean, obviously, yes, we can advance nicely in spiritual life and this and that, but it's a major shocker, I think, for enormous amount of Westerners, at least. I mean, this is the crux thing
Even
here.
Indians.
What?
Modern Indians. I mean,
Modern Indians, really?
oh yeah, it's
Wow.
you know, Bollywood India is
Oh,
it's
Strong
modern
as well.
Indians. You know, it's a big deal. Now, if you notice, I'm going to try to draw a big circle here, because if you notice in Prabhupada's books, there's practically strict and liberal definitions of just about everything, not just sex, you know, what sex is for. So, and in Prabhupada also, when he would speak, you know, what are your principles? And Prabhupada talk about the regulative principles. And very often he would say, sex only in marriage. He would say that. Of course, you know, the more serious you get, the more you find out that if you're really serious, you only indulge when, as Krishna said, dharma vibuddho bhuteshu. I am sex life, but what is it? which is not contrary to religious principles. When you want to bring a child, this is what sex is for. But just see how Kali Yuga has turned everything upside down. So sex has just become a contact sport. I mean, to put it bluntly. And, like in the 60s, we had the so-called sexual revolution. Because why? Sexual revolution means you had, by the grace of technology, I mean, you always had different ways, you had, condoms. but through the pill, you could just not worry about it. Or through, ladies have their devices and stuff like that. It's completely ignoring what the whole thing is about, because it's really, human life is meant for graduating from the cycle of birth and death, only in the human form. There's only a few of us in this room. How many living entities are there in this room? We're outnumbered, a gazillion to one. And the other forms, they can't escape it, because by laws of nature, they're just going through the evolutionary process, transmigrating. And now we get to this highest peak of life, when we can ask questions. What's it all about? Is there some purpose to this? What's beyond? Who am I? Why am I suffering? What's going on here? But we're so overwhelmed by, the propaganda of sense gratification in Kali Yuga, that we miss the boat. We miss the thing. I'll tell you, even my brother, I might have shared this with you before. I have 4 brothers and a sister. I'm the oldest of 6. And and none of them followed me, the spiritual life. They all just pursued they're not terrible people. They're not churchgoers or anything, or they're not religious, but they're not bad people. So anyway, Kenny, the next brother down from me, he once said to me, when I was still married to my first wife, he said, and we'd been married for, oh my gosh, I don't know. About 10 years. Yeah. Anyway, he'd been married. He was married too. He's still married. And he said after, he'd been married longer, actually, he said. Oh, that's right. It was after my wife left Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Then he said, hey, bro, when you were married to Kate, did you get along with Kate? I mean, you were married for 19 years. And I said, well, we got along. I mean, we weren't that compatible materially, but as long as we were both practicing Krishna consciousness, we were pretty compatible, because we were both committed to the same thing. And then I said, well, how are you doing, Kenny, with your wife? You've been married to, what's her name? Stacy. Yeah, Stacy. We've been married to Stacy now. And I said, and anyway, when Kate left Krishna consciousness, I was in my 50s. And, in our culture, in our Krishna yoga culture, marriage is just a stage. It's not like the whole thing, at a certain stage of life, you just separate, and the lady takes shelter of other ladies or older children or whatever. And so it's a phase of life. It's not till death do us part. And he said, bro, that makes a lot of sense. Because he'd been married to Stacy for quite a while, and I guess the romance was over, The romance was over. That gets old. But when people are married and they the romance is over. If they've practiced Krishna consciousness, that's where the intimacy really begins. That's where the intimacy really begins, because you're helping each other get closer and closer to Krishna. And that's real love, that's real love. When you help each other come closer to Krishna. That's why, someone like, Jimmy Carter and Rosalind could stay together for decades, because they had a higher, they were in love with each other, but still they were dharmic and they were religious and like that. Yeah. So, yeah. It's just really all about people having a higher concept, a vision of what life is. After a while, sex just gets old. It gets old. Take it from Uncle S, who's 78. It doesn't, your body doesn't perform the way it used to. Right? So, but there's a higher intimacy, there's a higher taste. And because, speaking of the higher taste, breakfast is out now, you get a higher taste. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I hope that helped a little bit.